Please like, share and subscribe channel for more ghost stories. Also, share your experiences in comments. Story 1: The Cat and a Mysterious Sound. I had forgotten about this incident, but this question reminded me of it. Flashback to 2014. I had a social science exam just the next day. Being a person who studies everything in the last moment, I decided to stay up all night and study. It was winter, I still remember. I was on my bed. I kept studying and lost track of time. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I heard a cat meowing outside. My room was on the second floor and there was a terrace outside. It sounded like the cat was on the terrace. Cats were pretty common, so I didn't think too much about it. However, it was unusual to see one at night. That was until the meowing was abruptly followed by a woman's laughter. It was a feminine laughter coming faintly from a distance. That was unnatural. I stopped studying and tried to concentrate on the noise. The laughter began to grow louder and the cat's voice sounded more desperate. The laughter now sounded clearer. It seemed to be coming closer, becoming louder and louder and louder. Until I heard a shrill bang on the door of the terrace. All noises subsided. Nothing could be heard anymore. No meows. No laughter. No one proceeded to knock on the door. I was frozen. I chanted the Gayatri mantra at least 100 times and then went under the blanket and fell asleep with the lights on. The next morning I learned that no one had heard anything like what I heard. Call it a distressed mind's hallucination, but that one incident always sends shivers down my spine. Story 2: Ghost in the School. I want to share my story. It's a pretty long one. In Pune, I was in a convent school which had two campuses, namely the junior school, from playgroup till 4th, and then the high school, from 5th to 12th standard. I had just passed my 4th standard and moved into the high school. Here, we boys were given a choice to participate for sports and girls for dance. I had opted to play football and I used to wait back after school with my friends to practice for the same for around 2 hours. The girls used to practice dance in an auditorium for an hour or so and leave. As I was new, I used to warm up and post that I used to practice at a place near the auditorium. This was my normal routine for about a month. My parents had got me a cycle for me to go to school by then. In school, I used to be an average student in studies, and always used to be bullied by seniors and fellow students, and I had no friends. Even at home, my family members used to like me less, and do all the basic things for me only. My life was a recluse until a day that was going to change my life. Slowly, all the junior children who used to practice football along with me, left the practice and I alone was left. Seniors who represented school used to be there. One day, while practicing, I see all that the girls had left except one, who was 3 to 4 years senior to me, and was practicing in the auditorium. The ball mistakenly went to the door, and for first time, I saw her dance. It was really beautiful and hypnotizing. I was stuck at watching her. But when she saw me, she pushed me away from the hall, stating that I am not allowed there. This ordeal occurred quite often, a number of times, after which, I started ignoring her. One day, I had a bad fight with my seniors, and I was beaten up very badly. My teachers too punished me, and same day I had got my maths test paper, in which I failed. I stayed back after school, but I didn't practice. I just sat in a corner and kept crying. It was late evening, and that girl left after completing her dance practice and saw me crying. She then came up to me and asked what happened, and I narrated everything to her. After speaking to me, she learned that I am not a notorious kid like many others, but a good one who needs help. She then told me that she will be my friend forever and will help me in my studies and punish anyone who harms me. But she took one vow from me: I should never ask anyone about her or tell anyone about her. I quickly agreed to her. That night when I went home, my parents behaved in a very loving manner with me, and showered their love, even when they got a complaint from my teacher and saw my less marks. but they asked me how I will go about improving in studies. Then I told them that I have a friend, who will help me in studies after school and sports practice, but didn't take her name. They readily agreed and allowed me to do so. Then every day I used to attend school, complete my football practice and visit her home, where she used to take my studies just like a private tuition teacher. I used to reach my home at around 9 p.m. in the night. I had very hectic schedule, but I was happy to make a new friend. She was no less than Google for me. She knew every subject, every topic. Her explanations were world class. Also, when I needed a break, she used to tell me other things and also make me smile. We used to spend a good time together. My parents started loving me than never before. In my class, all the good students befriended me, and even the toppers started asking me questions they couldn't solve, and I used to answer them like a boss. She was like a personal djinn to me. I had become a famous kid in my school, excelled in studies and extracurricular activities. My parents loved me and my fellow mates respected me. I had all the characteristics of a good student. But she never helped me in exam halls and I never needed it. But on the other hand, the bullies and bad students envied me and thought of teaching me a lesson. One day they found me doing my football practice alone, surrounded me and assaulted me with hockey sticks and baseball bats. They were led by two Christian brothers who were the biggest bullies in the entire school. They threatened me and told me not to come to school from tomorrow. I waited for her to come, and when she saw me, she quickly came to my rescue. She then brought some medicine, and post taking that, I was able to go home. Then she left without saying anything. She was fuming with anger and I wondered what will she do. Same night, those brothers at their home were playing around and they unknowingly urinated on an electric pole which had a wire hanging from it. You might have seen such scenes in the movie, 3 Idiots. They suffered shocks which were minor, but their private parts were all burnt and removed by operation. They got so frightened that they left the school and flew away to Dubai. Also, when my parents came to know, they informed the school principal, and their accomplices were rusticated and handed over to the local police. But this incident also had invited wrath of a few teachers as well. Everyone now started worshipping me as a new bully in school. But I didn't like it and wanted to concentrate on my studies. Therefore I have to go to school above all. My Hindi teacher was utterly jealous of me. She used to humiliate me in front of everyone for no valid reasons. One day, after recess, I came 5 minutes late as I was speaking to my class teacher over an important topic. Agitated, she took a wooden scale which was damaged, and hit on my knuckles so hard that a piece of wood went inside the bone and was paining ruthlessly. My hand was fractured and I was on plaster for a few weeks. I couldn't do anything with my right hand. Then my friend too came to know about it. The day on which that teacher hit me, the same night, suffered excruciating pain in her stomach and was admitted in a hospital where she was declared unable to conceive and her ovaries were removed. Now, my Hindi teacher wanted to take revenge against me. Also, she was one of those who never admits defeat. So she started spying on me and followed me to my friend's place where I used to go for studies. I found my friend's ways of avenging too unethical and I even told her not to harm anyone like that. She told me that she will not let anyone live in peace who harms me. I too didn't had much control over her. She then told me about her brother who was like me, and who committed suicide due to bullies, and didn't want to see anyone dying like her brother. She was with me almost 4 years until I had met that Hindi teacher. One day, I was called in the principal's office and I saw my parents too who had been called upon. The principal asked me where I go after my school and sports practice and to whom do I talk, as my Hindi teacher had complained against me. I resisted speaking anything due to the promise I made to my friend. But now I was threatened for rustication and totally pressurized. So I blurted out her name and address. The next thing what I heard was the biggest shock of my life. I was told that the girl who I had mentioned as my friend and whom I visit daily, has died in 1985 due to an accidental blast in the chemistry lab. I was then instructed not to participate in sports anymore and my cycle was taken away from me. I then used to be picked up daily by my parents after school. Post that day she never met me and I couldn't go to her home. But I didn't believe anyone, and I was looking for a chance to escape and visit her. I had my exams nearing, so I gave my exams and one day I somehow escaped my home at 1 a.m. in the night to meet her. I reached her home and found her weeping. She asked me why did I break the vow. I explained her that I was threatened so I had to tell. She then asked me to leave but I refused. But when I touched her shoulder from back to console her, so she got up and turned her face towards me. She was in her real horrifying form, half of her face was missing, an eye completely out, burnt hair, blackened face and drenched in her own blood. She screamed loudly and picked up a log of wood with a nail and hit right across me head. I was so badly hurt that I fell unconscious. The nail mark is still near my right eye. The next morning my family members came searching for me and took me home and got me treated. Then I was told that the place where I used to meet her was a crematorium. I didn't understand what it is. Then I learned the real meaning. Post that, I was even treated by a Hindu saint, who performed a holy ritual for me to cast out the negativity which that evil spirit had brought over me. Even today I have her dreams and if you see, I haven't mentioned her name anywhere in this post too.